Is record on? Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay, great. Well, hi everyone. I'm Mila Johansen, and I've been writing and teaching writing for centuries, no, years. And I've been taking all my offline classes and putting them online. So I'm very honored to be asked to teach here with the library, who I love the library. When I first started writing here in this town about 40 years ago, they were a little more old-fashioned, so I could call them and say, hey, Jane, or whoever it was, could you look up for me in encyclopedias? It's before we had the web, and it's before I had an encyclopedia set. So they would look it up for me and give me the answers. And so I love the library. I love everything about it. My husband's aunt, Doris Foley, she and Madeline Helling are the ones who put the libraries together here in Nevada County. And of course, her name is on the historical library now, and she passed away in the late 80s. And we moved up here to visit her. We came to visit her, we swam in the Yuba River, and we stayed. So anyway, I've been putting out a ton of books right now, and what I've learned a really valuable thing is, let's see, I just put out for the 100th anniversary on August 18th, From Cowgirl to Congress. I think Sushila has that book. And it's really big this month because of the Women's History Month. March is Women's History Month. And I've been speaking all over the world on podcasts, which I didn't know was possible with until COVID hit. In India, Spain, New Zealand, twice, once in January and one yesterday. So it's just been like it's like the Wild West out there with books and speaking, and there's so much opportunity. Uh-oh. Does someone need to mute themselves? Christy, can you mute yourself? Anyway, and then I after I did this big book, which I had to do footnotes, and it was my grandmother's memoir, you know, who spoke all over London with George Bernard Shaw, who put together the Pulitzer School of Journalism. She was on the front lines and did all these wonderful things and knew Eleanor Roosevelt. And so after that book, which was so big, I had to write a short book, which I'm giving people permission to write their short books. And this is a fluffy book about my dogs and how to really train your dogs. It's an avant-garde book. It's not your normal dog training book. And so, and then I put out a poetry book, a contest that many poets got into about, with my grandmother's name on it, the Jessie Butler Women's Poetry Contest Anthology. So there's all kinds of ways to promote your book, and that was one of my ways. But what I found out doing all of these podcasts and speaking at summits is that everybody wants a bio from you. And they all want a different bio. So some people want your short bio, some want your medium, some want your long, some want it in first person. Most people want it in third person. So we're going to explore first and third person today, because that way you can find out what method you would like to write your book in. And you might switch to books. And some books, even now, with permission from Barbara Kingsolver, are switching first and third person within the book, depending who's speaking. I think Barbara Kingsolver was the first one I ever read that had the book from different perspectives. You know, this chapter is Jane, and this chapter is Joe, and this chapter is Samantha. And I really like that, and people are really messing with that right now. So they're even going from third person to first person, depending who's telling the story. So and then you also need your elevator pitch, because you need to be able to say what your book is about within one or two sentences, the ride of an elevator. Because sometimes that's all someone will give you. Okay, give me the short version. So, and that's when you're saying, well, I have a book about, you know, my famous grandmother who spoke with Eleanor Roosevelt, Gloria Steinem, and Marla Thomas, and, you know, name drop, because then they get interested. Oh, wait, I want to hear more about that book. And so that's a spoken one. But right now, every podcast I do, they say, okay, give me your short bio in first person. All right, I have that. Then I write the same bio in third person. So I've been teaching everyone to get them ready, and not to do your short, medium, and long in first and third, have them ready, and then you will probably have to change it up a little bit for each person. Like if I'm speaking about my grandmother's book, then I talk about that in the bio. If I'm speaking about the dog book, I kind of switch it around to that. If I'm writing, and lately everyone wants me to speak about writing the short book, so I switched the whole verbiage to include that. And the other thing you need your bio for, if you go to KDP and look at every book on there, everybody has a bio. And it can be really long or it can be really short. But the secret in all of your bios is to put your most important information in the first 2 or 3 sentences, because that's all most people will read, because our society is terribly ADD right now. So even when you're doing your Facebook, put your most important information in your first 2 or 3 sentences, and then in your bio. So you can go to KDP and you can look at the different books and read the different bios of what people are saying about themselves, about the author. That's a different one from the description of the book. So when you put your book up on Amazon, or you're going to get it traditionally published, you would have that description on your Amazon site, on your Goodreads, on all of those places, and you would have it on the back of the book. So these are reasons to write these now, because I found it's a lot easier to write the books and funner. And then when I came to the bios and the information, I would get blocked. So I'm kind of suggesting to people to write them now and get them going. And then also, I just taught a workshop from Pen to Published, and we spent a lot of time on bios, and then everybody realized if they wanted to write in first person or third person. One thing about first person is you can make a lot less mistakes. First person is a lot easier to write in and not trip over all those was words and you know, the show rather than tell. You can, first person is a lot easier to write in. So what some people do is they write their first chapter maybe in first or third person, then they might rewrite it in the opposite to realize how the book is sounding. I just finished a novel about the 1500s, an herbalist that saves England from a plague, called The Four Thieves. And I had some beta readers read it, and one beta reader said what I had been thinking, it's in third person, that I should try it in first person and see how it turns out. It's quite a long, it's not a long novel because it's YA, but still that's going to be a lot of work, but I think I will try that just to see what's best. So, you know, first or third person, it's up to you, whatever you want to do. It's the Wild West out there. It's never been easier to publish. The more books you publish, the more you build your algorithms. So I'm teaching people to write their short book, get it published, and then extend it into a medium book, and then maybe a longer book. So now you're going to get 3 books out of your one book. And I have one student who was daunted by writing her long book. So she said, oh, I'm so glad to have permission to write the short book first. And now she's got her outline. She's going to finish her long book. And so that's one way to look at it. And if you're writing a novel, then you got to really pick first or third person. If you're writing a how-to book like my dog book, I wrote it in first person. And my grandmother, of course, wrote her memoir in first person. So anyway, so what I want you to do today, because we don't have that much time, is to write, even if you already have one, just write it because you might come up with some new ideas and better ways of saying it. Write your bio as if a newspaper reporter is talking about you, like in the Union. So, for instance, oh, I had it up. I had my bios. Oh, here it is. Okay. So, for instance, my bio. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, I lost them. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So here's my short bio. Mila Johansen is a public speaker, writing coach, teacher, and writer. She is the author of 22 plays and several short screenplays and 5 books. Her new book, From Cowgirl to Congress, about her famous suffragette grandmother, is now available on Amazon. So that's my short bio. And then I go on with the medium bio. Then I talk about From Cowgirl to Congress, and I get into it more. So if you guys, let's go ahead and take 10 minutes, write your short bio, 3 to 5 sentences. You can do 5 sentences on a short bio. And then just spend 10 minutes and name drop, give the best parts of you. You have to sell yourself. Don't sell yourself short. You want to brag about yourself. This is the time to do it because people want to know who you are and what you've done and what you can do. So give it 10 minutes. I'll time us and go ahead and brag about yourself. If you have any questions, feel free.
Okay, it looks like we may have, oops, Okay, it looks like we may have lost Mila there. I'm going to give her a few minutes to see if we can't get her to come back. But yeah, if you finished writing your bio, maybe go ahead and give us a wave so we know where everybody's at. Okay, welcome back, Mila. Glad we could get you back.
Oh, did I disappear or what? How'd that work?
Yeah, it looked like you disappeared for a few minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Okay, I'm so sorry.
But we talked about you a lot while you were gone.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, we're just talking smack.
Yeah. My ears were buzzing. Okay. All right. So we just got a few more minutes, 3 more minutes. And then I'm going to tell you what you're going to do next in case my computer does it again. You're going to write the exact same words, but we'll talk in between if my computer doesn't disappear. The exact same words in first person. So I did this and I did that. And so that would be the difference, just in case.
Mila, did you want us to do the first person now or wait until we're done with the third person? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh, we're going to do it next. I was just telling you in case I disappear again. and then the thing about that is, then you read them. So, but I want to talk to you about lengths and stuff first.
Yep.
I'll give you the whole agenda just in case. One more minute. Okay, uh, come back to me for a few minutes. And now there's two ways of starting your bios. You can start with the short and then expand it into the medium and the long, or you can start with the long and then condense it down. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do. But it's a good thing to start now. And the other thing you can do is I'm having all the students I'm teaching in the classes go to KDP. You know, KDP is Kindle Direct Publishing. That's the Amazon publishing. And what you can do is go ahead and join, even if your book's not going to be ready for a year or two, if it's whenever it's going to be ready. And then you can go take all the tutorials so you learn about publishing. And then you can also go to the templates. There's a template page. And most books now, the industry standard is 6x9. So you can get your template and then you can write right into that template so you can see how your book's going to look. If you're thinking of traditional, then you want to do 8.5 by 11, double spaced, Times New Roman, final answer, Times New Roman, double spaced with your headers. You know, go and look at online and look at how that looks. But if you're going to self-publish, which a lot of people who have even been traditionally published in the past are going towards self-publishing because it's so easy and it's never been easier. And it's free if you take all those tutorials and do it yourself.
What was the website again, Mila? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's Amazon. It's actually your own Amazon account. It's your same password, but it's called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. KDP. But you can go on there and they have templates, every size of template you would like to have. Like I wanted to tell you, Christy Gurley just put out a book last week, a children's book, a fantastic book. And she did it 8.5 by 11, you know, with the slick cover and the slick pages, just like a children's book would be. And it's about a very rare gift, like she's calling it a superpower. I'm going to say it wrong, Christy. Sorry, I think you can hear me. It's called synesthesia, where, she says, thank you, Mila. She's having trouble. She can hear us, but we can't hear her. And she just put this book out. And my stepmother bought it, so I have to order 3 more books from you tonight. And it's a beautiful book, but that's 8.5 by 11 because it's children's, or if you're doing a workbook. But go on to KDP and look at the different templates and pick one and start writing right into it. I think that's a great way to let you see what you're doing and how it's looking, you know, and that's what I did with my grandmother's book. So it's fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to take 10 minutes and you're going to write the exact same bio, but you're going to put the first person in I instead of she or he, and just see how different it looks and which way you might like to write in. So let's take 10 minutes, do the same thing. If you have more time at the end of the 10 minutes, then start expanding your bio or come up with your elevator pitch. So 10 minutes, go.
Yes.
Okay, 1 minute. All right, come back for a few minutes. I just want to tell you the reason I'm here with all these lights behind me is because my computer on my big ranch goes out a lot, the internet. So I came to my friend Melissa's boutique, M3 Mall, and behind me are all these ball gowns for the Cinderella project that, you know, they give to young girls to go to the prom and things. So I think that's really cool. I normally wouldn't put all these lights behind me at my house. I have all my books I've written behind me. So, but anyway, I just want to say one other thing is that right now, just in case any of you have any ideas on how-to books or self-help books, those are what are selling right now. They're selling big time. And they're a lot easier to sell. And of course, novels sell, they always will sell. But I just want to let you know if you have any ideas like that, anything that you're an expert at that you could put out a book, that is what is, people are looking for help. It's just one of those things that are selling. All right, so let's just read a few because you can learn from each other what each other wrote. And then remember to go on to KDP and read the bios for each book and read, and you'll see some people don't have bios, they don't know about it. And then go into other books all through your house and your library and read those. That's what I did when I wanted to find out the format I wanted for my book. I went through all the books in my house. Oh, I want my page in the center of the page or the corner. I like the corner because then people can find it easier. But it's an artistic decision that you will have to make. So who would like to read?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
You want the first person first?
Yes, do, no, the other one first.
I'm sorry, third person.
Yeah, as if someone wrote it about you.
Michael West has been a bartender, an actor who reached his peak with 10 lines on Malcolm in the Middle, for which he still receives residuals, an avid drug user, a professional comedian who made Robert Downey Jr. laugh while waiting for coffee in a shop on Melrose Boulevard, a filmmaker, editor, and a full-time caregiver for his wife. His book of short stories ties all these things into a neat package, capped off with an essay entitled My Father's Penis.
Boy, you know, that's entertaining. You really, I mean, mine's not entertaining, but yours is. Okay, go ahead and read your second one.
Okay. I've been a dishwasher, bartender, a cook, not a chef, an actor who reached my mountaintop with 10 lines on Malcolm in the Middle, for which I still receive residuals, an avid and thankful drug user, a professional comedian who once made Robert Downey Jr. laugh while waiting for mediocre coffee in a loud shop on Melrose Boulevard, a film editor, and a full-time caregiver for my wife. My book of short stories ties all these things into a neat package, capped off with an essay entitled My Father's Penis, which is a work in progress, by the way.
That's good. That's okay. Because see, I think writing these is important because one thing I've been encouraging people to do is to start talking about it on podcasts. Podcast is fairly new, like the Wild West right now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's looking for I know it's not really new, but it is because everybody's jumping on board right now. And they're all looking for people to come on, and you already know your story. You already know your expertise. So you can go on way before your book is done and start building hype. So who else would like to read?
I'll read.
Okay.
Okay. James is a guitar player, songwriter, construction manager, project manager, ex-firefighter, waiter, dishwasher, and student. He grew up in Florida, studied in Europe, UCLA, Fullerton College, and built multifamily housing in Southern California for 40 years. He's done a lot of writing over the years. Scored a couple of films, hammered a lot of nails, crunched a lot of numbers. There's a lot of experience in his work. We're reading.
I like that. That's entertaining too. Read your first person so we can see the difference.
I'm a guitar player, songwriter, construction manager, project manager, ex-firefighter, waiter, dishwasher, and student. I grew up in Florida, studied in Europe, UCLA, Fullerton College, and built multifamily housing in Southern California for 40 years. I've done a lot of writing, written a lot of music, hammered a lot of nails, and crunched a lot of numbers. I've got a lot of experience. Check me out.
I like it. That's very good. And you can, you can expand that. Okay, who else would like to read? Yes, Sushila.
Okay. Sushila Mertens, co-author of A Woman's Guide to Sacred Activism, is a death doula and facilitator of important conversations. Her life experiences have led her to conclude that empowering women to speak from their passion and power will create new systems of cooperation and sustainability. Her current memoir focuses on her journey to China with her 90-year-old companion. Her current memoir focuses on her journey to China and through the aging process with her 90-year-old companion who lived to 103.
Wow. Okay, first.
First person. Okay. My current memoir is about how my journey to China and Mongolia with my 90-year-old friend taught me how to live before I die. Learning how to trust the universe opened me to trying new experiences, traveling alone around the world, and appreciating life instead of fearing aging and death. My journey led me to become a death doula and become very comfortable talking about difficult subjects. I became very passionate about including the feminine in our cultural narrative. My memoir goes beyond the personal into exploring the relationships with mother figures, Divine Mother, and Pachamama, the mother of all.
Oh, wow. Both of them are good too. You made them slightly different, which they both were well written. I think all of your bios are way more creative than mine. I like them. Okay, good. That's very good. And you know what? That kind of book is what's selling right now like crazy. So get it out there. Is it already published? Is it
What's
already?
that?
Is it already?
No, the Sacred Guide to A Woman's Guide to Sacred Activism is published, but not my memoir.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, who else wants to read? Jim or Christy?
I'll go.
Okay.
Jim is a native Californian who grew up 1 block away from Mission Santa Clara. He spent his career as an engineer for Howard Hughes's Legacy Hughes Aircraft Company, beginning in the plant where the famous Spruce Goose was designed and built.
Wow.
He worked on the forefront of technology and is currently retired, living in California's gold country near its richest gold mine. He spends his time hiking, biking, fishing, motorcycling, and playing in the dirt gardening, and wishes to travel more.
Well, that's really good too. Well, read your first person.
Okay. It's identical.
That's good.
I'm
That's
a
good.
native Californian, right? Yeah, I'm a native Californian who grew up 1 block away from Mission Santa Clara. I spent my career as an engineer for Howard Hughes's Legacy Hughes Aircraft Company, beginning in the plant where the famous Spruce Goose was designed and built. I worked on the forefront of technology, and I'm currently retired, living in California's gold country near its richest gold mine. I spend my time hiking, biking, fishing, motorcycling, and playing in the dirt gardening, and wish to travel more.
That's exactly right, the way you did that. That was perfect. Yeah. Okay, Christy, did you want to read yours? Here's Christy. We finally got Christy.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Well, I didn't quite finish because I still have been trying to get my stuff to work. Okay. Christy is an artist who has always been drawn to music and color. 2 years ago, she found out that she possesses a sort of extra sense that gives her a heightened and blended experience different than 96% of the population. She sees colors and feels textures. She sees clouds of colors and shapes when she hears music. I can't read my own writing. Hold on. There are over 80 types of synesthesia, and she wanted to share this exciting superpower with parents, grandparents, and teachers to help them identify this in children or simply create an engaging book to read. In her first book of the series, Synesthesia Kids, a little girl discovers her beautiful way of seeing the world is unique and special. Soraya's superpower explores the world of chromesthesia or colored hearing. That's as far as I got.
So that's very good. Now, and then write it in the eye later when when you have time. And she's doing a series. And I just took a workshop with Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he's really talking about the power of series. And he got 104 rejections before they took his first book. So to encourage us all, there's another man on Twitter, and he said he got a yes after 200. So like Jack said, all you need is one yes. Megan, did you have something? I'm not sure she's there. She's probably at work.
No,
anyway,
I'm here.
Oh, good. Did you want to read?
I don't want to follow all of that.
Oh no, we want to hear from you, please.
Oh gosh. Megan Lloyd is a librarian, filmmaker, and mother. She's been an educator from Japan to Austria. She builds and supports communities around the world. In her time at the Nevada County Community Library, she has brought in luminaries such as Sushila Mertens, Mila Johansen, and Emily St. John Mandel.
I like that. Now your eye, can you read your eye for us? Your first person?
Okay. Yeah, mine's it's the same. I'm a librarian, filmmaker, and mother. I have been an educator from Japan to Austria. I build and support communities around the world. In my time at the Nevada County Community Library, I have brought in luminaries such as Sushila Mertens, Mila Johansen, and Emily St. John Mandel.
That's good. You include us. That's great. That's great. Well, and now you've got to start. So if you go home, and you may already have bios, but you may want to rewrite them, and you may want to have different ones. Like what I do is I'm doing a certain podcast for a certain person, and they want me to talk about the short book. So I have to go back in, and I go back to my Gmails of someone else I did the same kind of talk for that I gave the bio to. So I go on there, and then to find podcasts, because you all know your work, you can all speak about it right now, is you go onto Facebook, and there's these wonderful groups you join called podcasts, whatever, you just look up podcasts. One of them I think is called Podcast Be a Guest, Find a Guest. And then you have to put a hashtag, you want to be a guest. And then you go in and like I just went on the other day. I've been so busy doing them. I'm doing like 2 or 3 of these a week. And so I was feeling so busy, but I went on the other day and there were all these people looking for certain ones. There was health. No, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I could, but I'm not going to. And people who want to, one of the biggest ones is how to leverage your business and get more clients, which is this big deal out there. So that's what my short book does. I'm really helping entrepreneurs with that, write the short book, be the expert, use it as their giveaway. So I got on quite a few. I went on the other day and I was doing different ones because of the Women's History Month. For some, they wanted a women's story. So I did my grandmother's book, and then I was doing things about the short book for the business people, and I got on 5 podcasts just from doing surfing around that day. So there's so much opportunity. There's a lot of people out there who are just starting their podcasts, and that's okay to be on those, but I was kind of looking for people who are a little more seasoned, because I've done like 20 or 30 all over the world, and it really hones your speaking skills. It's a great way to start talking about your book, and whether it's just in your head or you've got a lot of it done, but it's actually gives you inspiration to finish that last 20%. If you're at, a lot of people, they finish the 80%, but they haven't quite crossed the line. So, and the other thing we're saying in the writer's world right now is 20 minutes a day is all we ask. And I even tell my students and anyone I'm working with 5 minutes a day. I was putting that into this workbook for my class. I've made a whole workbook. So whenever I teach, I always usually give them everything written down so they can remember it. And so I found out that Toni Morrison, the author, her first book, she wrote in 5 minutes a day because that's all the time she had raising children. And she's famous. So it's like really, 20 minutes a day. You don't have to think like, oh, I have to do 2 hours. You can do 5 minutes, 20 minutes. It adds up because it's like going to the gym. A lot of people don't go if they don't have an hour or two, but I would walk in, do the treadmill for 20 minutes and walk out. So it's kind of the same concept. And Jack Canfield went over that. I love taking this workshop because he said so many things I've been telling my students for years. So I came right back and I made a page in my workbook about it to corroborate what I was saying. And as Christy knows, I've been saying 5 minutes a day for a long time. And so to hear that Toni Morrison wrote her book in 5 minutes a day, that's what I do. And another thing I do, like when I did my dog book, I started every chapter with a quote because that ties you to a famous person. I do that when I speak too. And so like one of my books I'm putting out now, 101 Surprising Tips to Promote Your Book. I'm going to get that Toni Morrison thing, and because I have a whole chapter on writing 5 to 20 minutes a day in that book. And so it's really fun to get other people to corroborate what you're saying. In this book, I talk about mutts versus purebred. And I found a quote from Barack Obama that said, dogs are mutts like me, or something like that. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, so if you find quotes, it ties you to famous people and it makes your point. And then if they said it, well, then of course, because you're saying it, it's, kind of makes it true. So those are tricks. And then another thing, if you're thinking about your short book and then into the longer books, I added a lot of value to my book by adding in resources, and so did Christy. Christy did this in her book with I'm looking at how she typed synesthesia, and she put in resources for it, and that there how many kinds there are, and some information to help parents and kids. And she called it a superpower. So maybe someone who was being made fun of for it could look at it as a superpower. And then I told her, well, there's a danger in that because then the other kids might get jealous that they don't have the superpower. Here's her book. It's so beautiful. Look at it. It's hard to see the cover, but she had a great artist. Yeah, it's just a beautiful book. What's the name of it, Christy?
Soraya's Superpower.
I love that. I just totally love that. Yeah. So, and then when you're writing your books, and I know a lot of you are true novelists and everything, but let's say you want to do your short book. 36 pages is the shortest book you can publish on Amazon with a spine. It's nice to have a little spine. Mm-hmm. This book is a comfortable book at 125 pages. So the comfortable books I'd call 120, 135. A lot of people are putting those out. And the longest book almost you want to do these days, unless you're going to be epic, which we're not doing Mishnah anymore, is 300 pages. My book From Cowgirl to Congress is about 300 pages, 305. So it's readable. People are all saying, oh my God, I got through it so quick. It was entertaining. And her original book was 600 pages. But I went through and cut it because I really thought, oh my gosh, people aren't going to want a 600-page book. What I might do later is put out the unabridged version for people who want to really get into the weeds and the depths of it, but I don't think that will sell as well. So really consider your page count and what you're doing, and also it keeps your editing a little cheaper. Another trick and resource for you is Fiverr, Fiverr, because everything started out $5, Fiverr, because you can find editors. You won't believe the cover artists on Fiverr. Oh my God, some of them are so good. So you find someone you can work with who will work with you and go back and forth with you. Like for my dog book, I found an artist who would make cartoons of my real dogs. $5 each cartoon because he was from India, and that was a lot of money for him. I gave him the $5 tip too. So I got $10. So I paid him $10 a thing. Like, here's my one dog. And then these are my real dogs. But now when I walk my dogs, he's such a good artist. I can't see my dogs anymore. I can just see their cartoons walking by me. So and you can get them to load your book on KDP. There's only one little trick on KDP. It's easy to do. You can figure it out, especially if you know math. But when we were doing From Cowgirl to Congress, we were off 5 pages. So we had to go back and have the cover artist switch it around for the spine to fit. So that's the only thing that's a little tricky is your page count. So make sure you know your page count, and you have to count the extra pages they have in the end. And, and then here's where you want your bio. I put a little bio on the back of the book, and then I put a bio inside the book, and then the bio goes on to KDP or all those places, Goodreads, Fussy Librarian. There's tremendous ways to get the word out about your book, but I think one of the best ways is to go speak about it on podcasts. So anybody have any questions? Because we're almost ready to wrap up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mila, that last one, Fiverr, you said it was?
Yeah, it's Fiverr, double R.
Okay, I just lost you. You kind of, your audio just kind of went, so what was it again?
Fiverr. Double R,
thank you.
and you won't believe you can get editors, but I would try them out with 3 pages to make sure they're good. Sometimes if they're in other countries, their English isn't quite as good. Do you know what I mean? And so, but they can do everything for you. They can do the covers, they can edit, they can even go through and look at you won't believe what you'll find on there. And pick the cheap ones. Here's what you can do. You're going to do a cover. So you pick 3 people who are $40 each. I mean, I paid $500 for my cover because I had Julie Boleyn did it from the library, and I needed a certain cover for this one. But this one was hardly anything. And they'll even do them, some people do them for $5. So let's say you go on and you pick 3 artists, you do 40, 40, 40. And then you pick the one you like, then you work with them to improve your cover. But there's also one more really trick if we have time, is that if you want to really get buy-in for your book, you start building your Facebook and your Twitter. Those 2 are the best for writers. They really are. Twitter's amazing. I went from 56 followers to 8,000 followers in 6 months because I found a formula. And so anyway, but what you do is you take your covers and you put them on like 3 covers and you say to Facebook, hey, which one do you like best? And so I did that with this cover, and people ended up liking 2 covers the best, so I combined them. And that way I had buy-in. So when the book came out, they wanted to buy the book. And then the other thing you do is titles. It's really hard to find titles. Even if you know your title, still do the buy-in on Facebook and Twitter, and then all those people will feel like they're part of your book. And you can just get interest that way. There's a lot of tricks, but that's just some things for you to think about and work on.
Thank you so much, Mila.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's fun. I love talking about books and publishing.
Thank you. That was really helpful.